Did you miss your call with? All right. Welcome to our webinar today, where we are talking about gaining your superpower to charge, I don't know, what did I call it? I gotta look. Hold on. Gaining the superpower to grasp the complexity of buying behavior. That all in itself is a very complex topic, wouldn't you agree? Welcome, everyone. My name is Brigitta Hoeferle. I am saying hello to you from my bed today, as I got a surgery yesterday on my wrist. And I am still hanging out. I'm still in pretty good pain. Thanks to painkillers, they're still not doing the job that they're supposed to. But you know what? If you have read my post on my Facebook page, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I don't just, excuse my French, half-ass stuff. I do it right. I'll tell you a quick story. We just moved to the United States. It was 2004. We bought a house unseen. Well, we saw the pictures online. Back then, they were emailed to us. They're about, this big of thumbnails in 2004. And we bought the house, seen on little pictures. And we get to the house, coming from Germany, in April of 2004. And we get to the house, and the entire house, I saw it on pictures, but seeing it in person, it was full of Waverly wallpaper. If you guys remember the 80s, the Waverly, this is cute little flowers, but it were like big flowers in black and red and yellow and mix match. Every room had a different theme. The laundry room was blue with blue and yellow flowers, and the kitchen was red with red and black flowers. It was just overload. Anyway, we got into the house, and we had a beautiful bay window, and we saw moisture coming into the bay window, so we hired a contractor to fix that. And he looked at it, and he came back to us, and he says, well, we can do it two ways. We can, just kind of patch it up and be done with it, or we can completely take it down, look where the moisture's coming from, fix that, and then patch it up. That's going to be, a little bit more an investment. And, well, my husband and I looked at each other and we're like, why don't we just want to patch it up, and the next time it rains, it's going to come through again? No, duh, we're not going to do that. And we told the contractor, we said, no, we want you to take it down, find, the solution to the problem that we're having, fix it, and then we won't have a moisture problem ever again. And he says, oh, you want it done the German way. Yes, we always want it done the German way. If you know me, I am from Germany. We moved here in 2004 from Germany. But in anything that I have done, I do it with 100%, and I am completely in it with my entire being, soul, and heart. And basically, this is how this happened. So I fell off an office chair. I stood on it, tried to save a bug. Didn't really save it. So I broke my wrist pretty bad and had surgery yesterday. Got a plate in it. Hey, Jane, welcome. And so here I am, and that's where you see me today. But how I do anything is how I do everything. And I want to encourage everyone that comes on this call and that has been shared to be on this call. How you do anything is how you do everything. And today, as we're going into the topic of gaining the superpower to grasp the complexity of buying behavior, if you saw the picture of the event that I put together on Facebook, it had one of these little wooden blocks, and I'll describe it to you. So there are 4 rows down and 4 rows over, And the first row is all red. There is a circle, or a cylinder, a rectangle, uh, a triangle, and a cube. So that's the first row in red. And then the second row is yellow: circle, rectangle, triangle, cube. Third row is all green: circle, rectangle, triangle, cube. And the fourth row is all blue: circle, rectangle, triangle, and square, and cube. So as I was looking at this, and as I was preparing for our call today, I thought, it's the simple things that we have in our everyday life. And some of you might remember, having this for your own kids, or as a child. I played with this in my own childhood, and I've had it in my school that I have put together from 2004 to last year, and when I partially sold it last year. But it's such a neat and simple concept, and yet what I want to utilize this today, maybe I just want to kind of hold it in the camera today. So there are these blocks in different shapes and different colors. So today I want to ask you, as we go into our webinar, how often are you the cylinder that is trying to sell something to a triangle, and you just cannot fit into the triangle form because you are not communicating the right way? And it's like banging your head against the wall over and over and over, and you're going, why is this not working? What am I doing wrong? I'm a circle. I'm a cylinder. I'm sorry. I'm a little beside myself today, so forgive me. I'm a cylinder. Why does the triangle not understand me? And how often have we gone through this in our lives? And me being a marketing, holding a marketing degree, how often have I tried to sell a triangle something that is not triangular shaped? So today I want to go into that and just utilize this unique metaphor. But before I go into, because we're going to go into the cards here in a second, before I go into that, I want to tell you a quick funny story. So it was day before yesterday. Day before yesterday, I was at the hand specialist, and take a look at my wrist because I was in bad pain, had a splint on, and it just didn't work out for me. And I was wondering, why am I in such pain? Apparently, I just have, a few broken bones. And they should be starting to heal because of the splint, the way they placed the splint. So the hand specialist took a look at it on Wednesday morning, and he made a CAT scan. He had the Röntgenbilder. Why can I not think of that in English now? The X-rays. And he took a look at it, and he sent his senior resident doctor in to talk to me. The senior resident doctor was very young, good looking, kind of, hang loose type of dude. And we started talking, and he says, well, we took a look at your CAT scan and your X-rays, and you did a real number on your hand. And I said, yeah, I kind of figured. So he took a lot of time to go from picture to picture to picture to picture to picture to picture in the X-ray, and then CAT scan, and CAT scans are layers of the hand this way and that way, and just go and exactly describe to me which injuries I have, and what that means in the long run if it's not going to be fixed. So he told me my problem, and he told me the pain I'm going to have if I'm not going to get this fixed anytime soon. Very smart young man. And again, we talked, he went through everything, and he said, hang on tight. The senior doctor is going to come, and he's going to talk to you. He's the hand specialist. And then the senior doctor, wait a little bit longer, and the senior doctor came in, and he said, so what happened? And I told him what happened. Fell off a swivel chair with a lot of momentum, and he said, well, you did a really good job, whatever you did. I mean, you didn't half-ass it. You just really screwed up your wrist. You drove their little bones inside your wrist, and you drove those little bones into your wrist, into your joint cartilage, and we have to get them out because they're sitting way too far back, and you won't be able to do this anymore. And again, he went into describing the problem and going into the pain if I am not getting it resolved. So again, very smart. He says, what do you do? And I said, well, I speak and train, and I am scheduled to fly to California next week to speak and train and assist. And he goes, what do you speak and train on? I said, well, personality science, and specializing in buying behavior, which is value-based. That's intriguing. Tell me more. So I said, well, everyone lives in a code or in a modality, if you will. And as a doctor, you know better than anyone else that humanity is divided in the 4 temperaments by Hippocrates many, many years ago. Hey, Don. Many thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago. And that's what this buying behavior and personality science is based on the 4 temperaments. He says, okay, tell me more. And I said, I'll give you an example. Because we all come from our own values, I have a program where I can locate and see within 90 seconds in which code a person operates. And he goes, really? So tell me about senior doctor resident over here, senior resident doctor. And I said, well, he seems to really like freedom. He loves action. He had a really cool watch on. He seems to be into fashion and some really cool watches. I mean, of course, he had a scrub on. So I'm going to go, he's an action personality first. He seems to be very spontaneous. However, he's also a blueprint because he's very structured in how he described to me what my problem was and at that point they haven't described to me how it can be fixed, but what the problem was and what the pain was going to be if the problem is not going to be fixed. So I'd say he's a blueprint second. Then of course he's a nurturer, he's a doctor, but I'm going to put that at third place. And then on 4th position, he's knowledge. And I went into, a little bit deeper. And for you, I think everyone that is on has gone through somewhat of the values. And I'm just going to repeat them again. So the values of the actions are freedom, flexibility, spontaneity, action, opportunity, excitement, attention, stimulation, competition, winning, fun, and image. And then he was a blueprint, which are the values of stability and structure, systems and planning, processes, predictability, responsibility, duty, rules, credentials, titles, and traditions. So that was his second. His third code in value is relationships, authenticity, personal growth, significance, teamwork, involvement, community, charity, ethics, harmony, morality, and contribution. And then last was the knowledge, which is learning, intelligence, logic, self-mastery, technology, research and development, science, universal truths, expertise, competence, accuracy, and the big picture. So I went through all of those, and the senior doctor looked at the resident doctor, and there was a pool of nurses and other doctors around, and everyone was like, holy cow, she read him like a book. And the senior doctor said, wow, that was pretty spot on. You're really good in what you're doing. So we had a conversation around that, and it was just really interesting. Oh, and then the end of that was, he says, actually, I will put that in his report, in his evaluation report. And I said, that's great. That'll be $2,000. I will send you the invoice for that. And we all had a good laugh. But see, when I can only come from my place today, which I only will today, but I want to encourage all of you, when you come from a place of service, and when you can come from a place of knowing who you are talking to, and you become so good at reading them and then adapting your communication, you're going to build rapport like that. And that is really the superpower. That is the superpower of you becoming aware of who are you talking to, so you can adapt. I can adapt my language. I can adapt my the way I talk to them, so it lands with them that if I am talking to a circle or a cylinder, that I am talking in cylinder or circle language. It's really not that hard, but it's the awareness that we first have to have, that if I am talking triangle language to a circle, it's not going to benefit either one of us. It'll be frustrating. It'll be hard. And it is like banging your head against the wall. And that is not something I want to do right now, bang my head against the wall. And I don't think anyone should, for that matter. But for all of you that are on today, and for all of you that are watching the recording, you can utilize this. Oh, I'll tell you another story. I have a coaching client who has these cards from me, and I've gone through. He asked me if he can buy a set of cards from me, and I said, yeah, sure. He's gone through some of my webinars and seen me speak, and I said, yeah, sure. I'll send them to you for $25. You know, I'll send you a PayPal invoice, and that's how I send it to him. Once he paid the PayPal invoice, I send the cards to him, and I've done a little bit of work with him and how to utilize them. And then he asked me a few weeks ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, he said, hey, remember how you taught me the step-by-step how to introduce the cards? Will you be able to send that to me? And I'm pulling it up right now. So most of you probably have seen this. Bear with me just a second. If I can find it, I have a whole, there it is. So the script is, as you are handing someone the cards, you say, before we get started, please do me a favor. Then the second, and we've gone through this in our last webinar, which is a really funny webinar, you should watch it, was the day right after I broke my wrist. Look at the information on these cards. So who did I just talk to when I said, look at the information on these cards? I talked to a knowledge person. Look at the information, because one of their values is learning and having the information. And then the next step is read the values and sort them in order of your choice, from the most important to the least important card on the bottom. So sorting and order, very much a blueprint value. Then the next step is, that will allow me to serve you better, nurturer. And it will both save us time. So Time and money is always action. Serving, always nurture. So in this little script, we talk to each code. And when you can adapt your tonality correctly, you can have an even greater impact. And that is now going into some of NLP practices, and I won't go into that. That was more of some of the webinars that I've done in the past. So anyway, he asks me for the script, and I send it over to him, and I had a follow-up call with him today, and I said, so what did you need the script for? He says, funny story. My girlfriend, who just got promoted to manager, she's a registered nurse, and she just got promoted into a managing position, and she has all of these superiors and leaders in her team that she doesn't know how to build rapport with, and she's really trying to figure out how to get them all listen to her so she can get her point across. Very smart lady. And her boyfriend, who's my client, said, hey, use these cards. And she did. She took the cards, put them around the round table that they had, just, learned the script, and everyone came back to her later, wanted to do the cards with her. If there was someone in the room that didn't do and cracked their code, didn't do the cards, they all come back. She still carries them. He said, I didn't get my set back. I might just have to get another set from you. But he said, you will not believe it. They have been such a godsend to her, so she can start building rapport in this new position that she's at, and she can start creating more awareness of how she can communicate with them, and not think, as most people do, well, they got to adapt to me. They got to learn to speak my language. Well, that's not how it goes. That's just not how it works in life. And you all know that. And we probably can all tell an abundance of stories of where we've miscommunicated and fallen through. But the first thing really is the awareness, and the second is the listening. First of all, becoming aware that I cannot talk triangle to a circle. And the second is, what am I listening for, so I can find out that I need to talk circle to the circle. And that is a skill that you can only become better and better through practice. And that is one reason why I do these webinars. Every time I do these webinars, I learn a little bit more. I create a pool of stories. I connect with new people because people are sharing this on Facebook and inviting other people into the webinar. So you have the superpower, and the superpower really is the awareness and the listening and knowing what to listen for, so you can then adapt. And that's in the third step. You can adapt what's coming out of your mouth, that you can adapt your communication, when you write an email. I now write my emails in all 4 codes. And I not just write my emails in all 4 codes, I always, if I have a hard time, like today, I'm having a really rough time concentrating, as you probably realized. And the pain is just not a fun thing to deal with. But I'm not letting anything stop me. But in days where I have a hard time concentrating, I just have them beside my computer and just let the values kind of flow through my fingers, and let that brain jog on what I'm writing, so I can have all 4 codes in an email that I'm writing, or a Facebook copy, or a website copy, or any other written or spoken words that I put out there. I also, and some of you are very familiar with this, I also write in kinesthetic, auditory, autodigital, and visual words. So I always make sure that I have all of my 4 codes when I write anything. And I also make sure that I have the kinesthetic, auditory, audiodigital, auditory, and visual words in there. And there's, if you Google VAK words, you get an abundance of words that you can utilize. One of my last sentences when I write an email is, I look forward to touching base with you and hearing from you again. So I have look, I have touch, kinesthetic, and I have hear. And throughout my body in my email, I always make sure that I address all four. However, if I do know who I'm talking to, if I would write an email to this nice senior resident doctor that I met, I would probably write it all in action and blueprint, because I know that those are his predominant codes that he functions in. But he did a great job, and I told the doctor later, he said, well, the senior doctor asked me, what could this senior resident doctor do better? And I said, honestly, in everything that he did, and the way he communicated with me, he really touched on everything. The thing that he didn't touch on, or the thing that he touched on least, was the knowledge base. But that could just be that he intuitively did not need it for me. I don't know. But I said, as a feedback, you want to communicate in all four, especially as a doctor. And he did a great job later on telling me what the procedure is going to be. Again, his blueprint came clearly out, and what they're going to do. And the senior doctor, actually high knowledge. I mean, he was just like very high knowledge, told me exactly what he's going to do. I mean, he went into such details I didn't even need to know, and I didn't care to know, but he got the job done. But anyway, that was the question that the senior doctor had for me. Where could this resident doctor improve? And that's the feedback I gave him, and that was very, very useful and helpful for this doctor, because apparently there's an evaluation coming up. So, as I'm walking out of the hospital, I'm thinking, where else? In anywhere we look, people can benefit greatly from utilizing the bank cards, from utilizing the bank pass, from utilizing the programs. For me personally, going back in and speaking at the hospital, absolutely. I already have a way in and built great rapport. So it never stops. And I don't allow, me personally, I don't allow anything to stop me. So I want to encourage you, as we come to an end to our webinar today, to make one intention. What in the future is not going to what in the future you're not going to let you stop, and what is it that you're going to do next week to drive one thing, just one thing, to drive whatever it is that you are doing. May it be communication, may it be training, may it be coaching, may it be preaching, may it be something completely different that I can't even think of what you're doing. What is the one thing that you're going to do that you're committed in doing? And you're welcome to send me an email. You're welcome to keep it to yourself and write it down with your hand, because the hand is connected to the heart. And I encourage you to write it out. And I'd love to hear back from you in our next webinar, which will be next Thursday, as we had this one scheduled, but I was still kind of under the knife yesterday at that time. Okay, hold on. So I'm going to see you next week at 7 o'clock again, Thursday. So Don had a question. When writing a letter using the 4 types, which do you start with first and end with? In other words, what is the sequence in order to have the best and most impact? That's a good question, Don. I'm glad you asked that. If I don't know the person that I'm writing the email to, or I'm writing it to a broad audience, I just go through the BANK, and I make sure I don't just write one paragraph blueprint, one paragraph action, one paragraph nurture, and one paragraph knowledge. That's not what I'm doing, and I don't want to encourage you to do that either. I first write my email the way it would come out from me writing it. And as you know me, I'm high action. So, if I would send this out the way I would write it, I would lose all of the blueprints, all of the knowledge, and most of the nurtures because I pissed them off. So I first write the way I would write it. I'm just being really honest with you. Look, what you see is what you get. You know me. So I first write it the way I would write it, and then I would go back, and in each sentence, I would make sure that I have at least 2 codes in the sentence, or maybe 2 or 3 codes. If it's a long sentence, if it makes sense, I'm going to write it in all 4. Eventually, you're going to get so good at writing this, it's going to come out of your hands. Like, I've been an NLP master for many, many years, and it's becoming more intuitive when I write, and really incorporating all of the visual words, auditory, kinesthetic, and audiovisual words. And as I find myself getting really good at bank, I'm starting to see not just the written words, but also the spoken words that I can start to, Sherry calls it Divergent. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a great movie. I didn't like it very much because I'm not a real action movie kind of person. I know that just spooked me out. I'm an action person. I don't like action movies. Never thought about that. But anyway, so Don, did that answer your question? Refrain from going one paragraph only in action, one in knowledge, and so on. But there's really no right or wrong. Just make sure that you have touched base on all 4 of them throughout the copy. Any other questions? Thank you for that, Don. That was great. And Don put that in the chat. All right. Well, if we have no more questions today, Don, do you have another question? Thumbs up? Yeah. Okay. I'm holding on. Don says, I've been complimented on my writing skills for years now and just wanted to improve my writing with your answer. Great. Fantastic. You know what? My husband, who's been a journalist for as long as I can think, and he now does not work in journalism anymore for many years, but he is an incredible writer. I mean, sometimes he reads my emails and he goes, huh? So he's also a great editor. He edits some of my stuff, or used to. I've gotten a lot better because that's just my action to like, ready, fire, let's just get this out. But when he went through the bank training, he won all of these medals. We have them laying around somewhere here. He won an abundance of medals, and his writing got even better just by knowing how to implement the 4 codes in his blogs. Read his blogs. They're incredible. And you'll see a shift in his blog since he's done the bank training a few months ago. But yeah, he won pretty much, not all, but an abundance of medals when we went through the level 1, level 2, and then the level 3 training. And that was a lot of fun. And he really, just knocked it out of the ballpark. It was absolutely phenomenal. Would you use the same procedure when writing to, for example, your doctor? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So
you would pepper it
in the beat. Well, now, yeah, I can't hear you, but I think I know what you're saying. When I write my doctor, I already know. So the answer is really no. Thank you, Don. Thank you for catching that. I now know my doctor's code. I coded him in person. So no, I would not use the same procedure. I apologize. I would not use that procedure if you mean that doctor that I talked about earlier that I know his code from. Okay. So I know that he's action blueprint first. So I would write my email in action and blueprint and probably nurturing. I probably wouldn't put, I would maybe put a little bit of knowledge in, but I would keep it very minimal. So I would really focus on action and blueprint because those are his dominant codes that he operates in. And if I wanted to, say, persuade him into not operating me, in 3 months to get this plate out of my hand, but maybe in 2 months, I would write it in a very persuasive action and blueprint way that would talk to him and have some facts in there that would persuade him into, maybe taking a look at if he can, after 2 months, take the plate out of my wrist rather than 3 months. So yeah, thank you for that question, Don. All right. Are you guys all good?
Yes.
It was fun talking to you. It was fun having this webinar with you. Thank you so much. Templeton says, I think this example is a great way of how I can use in my training coming up in servant leadership. That's right, Templeton. Templeton is a young gentleman, very young, early 20s. I mean, I just give it to you over and over, Templeton. I think what you're doing is phenomenal. And he has an upcoming servant leadership and also then I always forget, it's a live night. It's a Facebook live night. I think I have it right, that he has coming up. So yes, you can utilize it in any copy, anything that you write. Pastors, preachers, priests writing their sermons. Absolutely. They're talking to a broad audience, and you want to talk to everyone. And not just the nurturers, and not just the blueprints, and not just the knowledge, and not just that. You want to talk to everyone. So all of that is a very, if you will, holistic approach. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks, Jane, for being on. Thanks, guys. It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you. And if I may ask you one favor today, send me some healing energy and say a prayer for me. And I know this hand will heal very, very soon. Thank you for being on. Spread the word. Next Thursday, 7 o'clock, next webinar. Thanks, guys. Ciao.